You know when you're ready?
You're good.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Dan Butler here, Chair of the Wareham Redevelopment Authority, welcoming all of you to our Thursday, May 22nd meeting. We are calling the meeting at to order at 9:02. And Mr. Buchan, could we have a roll call?
Sarah Corbett, Dan Butler, Judy Whiteside, myself, Derek Sullivan is missing, but we still have a quorum.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, absent. And Josh, how you doing, Josh?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Josh,
Josh.
30.
This one.
Connor.
It's a raspberry watermelon lemonade refresher. It's
Oh.
sugar on top of
I was
sugar.
gonna say, you will have cookies if you don't.
Judy, your ST looks like it has a little head on there, like a
I
Bud
know,
Light.
you know, because, look at this,
Bud Light through a straw, huh?
right,
Way to start the morning.
Well, good morning, everybody. I want to thank Wareham Media for covering today's meeting on behalf of the residents of Wareham that can't be here today, and really the people all over the world who are curious about what we do here at the Redevelopment Authority. So Noah, thank you very much for all you do there. We do have a resident in the audience today. Steve, would you mind introducing yourself to the gang?
My name is Steve Havey, I'm a resident, and my wife and I are looking to start a business down in the Wareham Village, where it looks like you guys are going to redevelop. And we see that Wareham really should be, will be an up-and-coming place, look at as a destination location as time goes on. And that redevelopment, you know, we really want to be a part of that. So I'm here, I want to kind of see where this goes, find out what saw some grants and some other things on there. I'm curious to see how that all works for the town. I'll go forward from there.
Great, Steve. And I think you know some of the people here, or maybe you don't, but Sarah Corbett is also on the select board, as is the chair of our select board, Judy Whiteside. Mr. Buckland is our director of planning for the town. Josh Faraday, actually, you're now the
Yes. Let's
you're the
rewind
director
that.
of planning emeritus, and you.
Yes.
You guys are paying me as director of planning.
And we confirmed him.
that was the date, I was pretty sure, but go ahead.
Okay, so you'll want to get to know Josh. And Connor Alden works for the WRA. And as I mentioned before the meeting, Steve, Connor's a good guy to talk to about the vacant storefronts, some of the things that we've been working on to potentially revitalize downtown Wareham, and they might be of interest to you and your wife.
All right.
So thank you for joining us today. Mr. Muniz.
Yes.
I can hardly see you there with this chair in the way, so we'll get out of here.
Thank you.
Steve, what type of business are you guys?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, you may not under residents' comments.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But I will, as the chair is allowed to, the chair can exercise discretion and
Not on discussion with a resident,
Not on the agenda.
it's not on the agenda as a discussion, it's a comment, it's not a discussion.
but we can, okay.
No, I can't.
We can talk to him after, like I
Josh,
said.
we'll talk with Steve after. Steve, will you be hanging around?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Muniz, welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You've been getting a lot of exercise. I see you out all the time, cutting grass and
Well, nice work.
sprucing things up.
Thank you.
And congratulations. Weren't you just recently elected to the Housing
Yeah, I
Authority
ran
for a second term?
unopposed, so I've been very disappointed if I didn't. Thank you.
Okay, let's dive right into authority business. Item 1 is a discussion and possible vote on letters of support for grant applications to One Stop Growth, River Renewal Plan, Environmental Impact Report. Is that what the R is?
That's right, Redevelopment Report, yes.
Vacant storefronts and Eastern Route 28/6 corridor. And Ken, why don't you tell us what you think we ought to do here?
Well, the 3 grant applications that we're putting in, one for the EIR requirement that the urban renewal plan goes through that before it gets fully approved to use. And we have a bill or an estimate of $95,000 for doing the EIR for this.
95, did you say?
95,000, that's
95.
right, so that's what that grant is for. The vacant storefronts is another application we have. that Connor has been doing some work on. This is for tax credits, $50,000 worth of tax credits for the items, the storefronts that have been vacant for at least how many months?
Several. No, it's for the requirement for the program was 6 months or longer.
So we've identified 6 storefronts that would be eligible for that. And we'll see how that plays out. And we have the eastern corridor of Route 28, Route 6, which is where the work has been done by the DOT, the state on the highway. And the extension of that going down to the Bourne line.
So from Redbrook.
Yeah, from Red Brook down.
Can I ask a quick question?
Good.
So what specifically is the grant for?
Oh, it's for a vision plan.
A vision.
It's for to see if we can get people behind a concept for zoning or land use programs that make some changes in there and get things back in a sane order, I guess.
What are you envisioning, Ken, like zoning changes?
That would probably be the most important one, because that's the strength of what the town has to affect land use, is zoning. But we have other programs as well too, and the Redevelopment Authority in their economic development strategy had put the eastern corridor as the 4th area for concentration.
Yep.
If you remember, and
Right.
so this is implementing that at this time.
What's the mileage from Redbrook to the line? Do you know?
I had calculated it at one point, I think it's several miles.
I don't think it is.
I don't know how much it is actually.
I don't think it is several months. I think it's slightly.
Yeah, it's some
It's
low,
shorter.
it's low on that
Yeah.
order anyway.
And it's also,
It's doable, it's thin though.
but I'm looking in my mind at the properties on both sides. It's a skinny corridor
That's right.
because it's landlocked between the railroad and a lot of water and or bogs.
And houses as well.
And houses as well. There's a lot of development on the
North.
northern side, yeah,
That's right.
and virtually no available real estate between the road and the railroad. That's a really skinny slip.
It is, and that's what makes it difficult to figure out what to do about it. And,
Right.
and it puts people behind on getting some changes. Although there have been some, has been some movement in some building permits issued down in that area, but nothing substantial that makes the change for the better.
What's the amount of that grant?
That is about 100,000, I think.
And that's from the state?
That's from the state, that's right. It's being put together by CERCAD for us.
Oh, so we just need to send a letter,
Sure, big grant.
right?
Right.
And can I go back to Josh and the 6 properties? I thought is this the same one you were talking about before, Josh, that had improvements? I mean, Connor, I'm sorry. Yeah, too early.
I got
you. You're doing
My
that eye
beard hasn't
thing.
kicked in yet. This is the same program you were talking about before, you brought to us before.
The vacant storefronts we're
Yeah.
talking about, yeah.
Okay. And there's 6 from Tremont Nail to British Landing.
Yeah, basically all of Main Street. So we focused more on Main Street area,
Yeah.
so where the nucleus of the downtown, Carl's, floor coverings and everything, those really ones that have been vacant for a very, very long time. But I'm sure if we did want to expand, that we could find other buildings that might still fit within the criteria.
So I don't remember that it was just vacant storefronts. I thought it was a grant that could help people who were
I
there.
think it's just vacant.
It was just vacant? I thought
Take a look.
yeah, okay. I misremembered then, because I thought it was available to property owners who might need help getting the upgrading, the painting, the the.
Yeah,
That's a program we have to set up ourselves.
maybe how you're remembering it was that the way that I framed the program when I presented it to you guys was that it's more geared towards businesses that are ready to expand. So a mom and pop who wants to start their
Yeah,
new
okay.
business doesn't fit as well because then they wouldn't have the tax bill at the end of the year that is worth the tax credits.
Thanks.
Okay, Ken, thanks. Great summary on the different letters of support that you'd like to see us issue. Ken, any,
I'd also like to have ideas about who else would be submitting letters of support. Since this is, these letters would be self-serving, and that Redevelopment Authority is the one making the application for these.
right, so you mean like go to the planning board,
Yeah, the
select
select
board?
board.
Planning.
Yeah.
Select board and planning.
So request those.
How about zoning, ZBA? Would they? It would make sense because you said a lot of this is zoning.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
So-
that's not bad idea either. That's good. Yeah.
And maybe affordable housing?
I'll, I'll put something together for that.
So your motion then, Ken, is that, sounds like there are two things you want. You want us to write a letter, self-serving letter of support for these different grants that'll go in with our own grant applications. And then you'd like to reach out to these other committees in town that could also issue letters of support.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll second that motion, but I just wanted to clarify, what's the cost on the 6 properties one?
It's a $50,000,
I think you probably said that in the agenda. Thanks.
and that would be divided up for however many
Right. Right, I do remember.
storefronts are on.
okay, so we have a motion from Judith Whiteside to, No?
It was his motion and I seconded.
She seconded.
oh, you seconded, okay. Ken Buckland, is it motioning that we provide letters of support from the WRA for these various grants that we're applying for and that we elicit support from the other committees
Yeah.
in town that might be
Planning board and ZBA.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously, 4.0. Yeah, Ken, if you wouldn't mind drafting what you think you need for those various grants in terms of letters of support, and I'll go ahead and sign those.
Right.
And what's the best way to reach out to the other committees?
Just go to the chair.
To shoot them an email?
Just go to the chair.
Yeah.
Because the chair would put it on the agenda.
Okay. Ken, if you could give me a draft of what you think the email ought to say, we can shoot that out to the relevant committee chairs.
Deadline is June 4th.
June 4th, okay.
Well, are we gonna have a meeting?
June 3rd.
Yeah, okay.
Just in time. Will it be- Can you get that on your agenda, Judith?
Have the other boards.
It's on the agenda.
That'd be a great one. I mean, obviously the select board. All right.
We'll get it on the agenda and we'll get it done.
All right. Ken, thank you. Next item, update discussion and possible vote on the Halverson Tie and Bond study of the coastal pathway / boardwalk, pier, and kayak launch in the vicinity of the old train depot along Merchants Way in Wareham Village. Let's see, Ken, Josh, the three of us have been in on these lately on these meetings with Halverson. And Josh, I appreciate what you've been doing. For everyone's edification, Josh has reached out to Representative John Gasky's office. Mr. Gasky represents the 2nd District, Plymouth District, which includes Wareham. We tried to have a meeting this week and weren't able quite to sync up everybody's schedules, so we're going to try again for next Wednesday. And Josh, I appreciate you reaching out because we have run into somewhat of a speed bump with Mass DOT. They've asked for an alternative. They've asked that an alternative be examined that would involve an overpass that goes over the train and the train tracks instead of at pedestrian grade level. And And when we,
I'm sorry. You got a little hot on that one.
I did get a little hot on that one. It didn't pass the New York Times smell test when I heard it, but. And then we heard a little bit from Halverson. They've actually done some work on it. It looks like it would be, in a word, ridiculous to try to do this. It would be expensive. It would tower 35 feet.
We also lose parking spaces as well.
We'd lose 11 parking spaces.
It would impact 3 utility poles down there.
Yep, we'd have to probably bury the utilities in that vicinity, which would be expensive.
Mhm.
So it really seems like a lot of wasted time and effort. And if we were to try to do something like that, it would be self-defeating, really. It doesn't accomplish what we're hoping to accomplish for Merchants Way. So that's the reason why we want to try to get with Mr. Gasky to see if he could offer maybe some counsel or maybe even talk to Mass DOT on our behalf. And we want to make that case that a pedestrian or a grade level pedestrian crossing makes a lot of sense.
Could we also reach out to our senator, Kelly Dooner?
Who?
If, if
She
a
was
rep,
next on the list.
okay,
I'll do it today.
yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, she
She's been
seems-
very visible here in town,
Right.
I have to
She's
say.
a heavier hitter than he is.
Right. A senator outweighs a
Yeah,
rep
so,
by definition.
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Do it today.
Thank you.
excellent suggestions. And so anyways, I guess in sum, we've been forced into a spot now where we're not gonna make the 30 June deadline that we had hoped to meet to have the design plan ready for our consideration and for implementation. So Ken reached out, got a 2-month extension?
3 months.
3-month, a 3-month extension from the Seaport Commission. So Ken, thanks for buying us a little more time and buying, I guess, Mass DOT some time to contemplate our rejoinder, because we really don't think building that thing over the train tracks makes any sense. So that's the update on that. Any questions or other thoughts, discussions? Okay. Next item, update on scheduling Wareham
I guess
redevelopment.
sort of a funny one.
Oh.
Well, we might as well make it funny. You know, there's a tunnel to the Cape.
Oh, true.
So why don't we ask about a tunnel?
Oh.
That was
waterway.
Don't
Yeah.
kidding, that was brought up by one of the people in New York. Oh, yeah, absolutely. From the
You're
DPU.
kidding.
Absolutely.
A tunnel?
A tunnel, yes.
No, I love it.
I
Okay.
like the tunnel idea better.
Yeah.
There is a tunnel.
It makes more sense.
There is a tunnel.
I've seen the permits.
And the bumper stickers.
Oh, I've seen the bumper stickers, yeah.
I'm sorry.
All right. Ms. Whiteside, thank you for adding a little levity to today's
It's the beer.
serious discussion.
Has kicked in at this point.
All right, next item, update on scheduling Wareham Redevelopment Authority field investigation trips to Hudson, Mass. And Hyannis, Mass. Do we have an update? Anything you want to add to that, Sarah?
Well, I'm not speaking on the Hyannis thing. I think that deserves another separate discussion. But the Hudson thing is in play. That's field trip to Hudson. And for those of you who may not have been following this, Hudson, Massachusetts was named the best main street in America. So when I saw that, I reached out to their planning department and said, how'd you guys do it? And she put me in touch with their partner group, which was a business improvement district group, and the president of that business improvement district group. I can't remember exactly what they're called, but it was a citizen government in the terms of the planning department partnership over the course of many years. Their main street started where ours is at, with many shuttered stores and decrepit stores and, general feeling of neglect. And then through a very deliberate process, and they came to our meeting via Zoom, and they have a presentation that they went through, and they outlined all those steps that they took to bring their main street, which once looked like ours, to be named the best main street in America. So we had a great meeting with them. They answered a lot of questions, and my feeling was that we need to go there. It's only about an hour and 15 minutes away, to walk this main street and to talk to the people actually involved in this effort, and specifically to me of interest besides the Director of Economic Development and Planning is, I think, her title, Richard Braga, who was the president of the business side of it, the downtown businesses, and how he corralled all the many different priorities and agendas that naturally occur among businesses and managed to get them all together and pointed in the same direction and working towards this ultimate goal that they realized really, really well. And I feel like that serves as an amazing model for us to follow. So I have put together a trip, gosh darn, I keep forgetting.
26th June.
Thank you, the 26th of June, that I hope everyone can come to, because I think it's important for, at least all the people here. Derek said he would come. Judy, I really, really hope you can make it. And we're all gonna go on a field trip, gathering here at 10 a.m. Except Derek's going from his place, and I don't know, Ken, you can go from your place.
I'd rather take a ride with somebody.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
And so we're meeting them at 11:15 or so, and we're gonna walk and talk and stay for lunch and then come home no later than 2:30 to stay ahead of the rush to the Cape on a Thursday. So that's the update on that. I have addresses that we can all plug into GPS to go to the parking lots that are within walking distance of their town hall. So.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, I'll be providing a van, my wife's van, so I can carry 3-4 people. So I'll be offering space. I think Sarah and Sam have already taken 2 seats. Connor's taken 1, so I've got 1 or 2 left.
Well, Kendall's coming, right? Kendall.
Oh, Kendall's coming
Kendall
too.
Peabody. Kendall Peabody is the
And-
president of our newly forming Wareham Business Association. So it's,
You're right, I'll have to save a seat for Kendall.
Yep.
Sarah, thank you very much, appreciate it. Any questions for Sarah? No? Okay, next item, update on Oyster Festival planning preparation and Discover Wareham Dollars Revitalization Stimulus Project. Ms. Whiteside, you've maintained very good contact, I know, with our festival organizer, Lorna Brunel. Did you want to offer any updates?
We walked the property Monday with we being all of the first responders, police department, fire department, the EMS, the people who are putting on the sip and stroll, and Miss Brunel and her husband. And I have to say, and Sergeant Flannery has said it, the most organized organization that has ever put anything on any place in the town. The only issue right now is the weather. That it is going to stop raining.
yep, it sure will.
It is going to stop raining.
You're gonna cast a spell?
I already did. I already did. There are 121 vendors. There are 5 food trucks. Danny's serving fish products, either chowder or fried fish or something like that. The police department already has the road signs that the road is going to be closed from time to time. Those, the lit up signs. So, and the people who live on that stretch of the road all have been handed a flyer about when the road is going to be shut down. Obviously, first responders still need to be able to get in there, and there's enough room on the road for a first responder to get in. And they talked about having a chair carrier for somebody that, who's like further down. The place looks wonderful. So whatever influence you have over the weather.
And the timing is 2 to 6 or 2 to 7?
6.
2 to 6. Okay.
And I'll be going down there about 1 o'clock with Connor and some of the DECA kids. We'll be setting up the WRA booth tent. And I'm going right after this meeting to go pick up whatever the merchandise is that the DECA kids want to sell. So we'll have that all ready to go, and I think we'll have a fun time. We're gonna be right at the entrance. I just saw the latest map, Judith. So we got a great spot.
And part of the plan for our area is we've encouraged local businesses to to bring stuff that they want us to, or they can pass out. And
Coupons,
or pamphlets about their business or other things like that. So there will be somewhat of a presence of local businesses at this, and there are local businesses that are vendors that will be having a booth and a tent and all that. So there will be a Wareham presence, even though many of the vendors are from out of town and they're regular participants in the Sip and Stroll business that Lorna has. We do have a Wareham presence involved in this.
Are we gonna have a QR code displayed at the booth there for people who can discover Wareham?
Yeah, so how the marketing materials that I have planned for the festival, and we can talk about this when we move on to an update for the Discover Wareham dollars.
let's do it now.
Yeah, let's move on.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
very
ahead.
good. So yeah,
What are we waiting
since
for?
our last meeting, I've been doing a lot of outreach. Our last meeting was the approval of funds, and we kind of all got on the same page with the promotion that we wanted to run. So what I've been doing is building out our EFD website a little bit, getting that ready for launch, putting in some Discover Wareham branding, just making sure that our logo is there, and all the custom branding is filled out. And then the actual outreach to restaurants and just small businesses in town. So as of right now, we have 12 businesses
nice.
that are live, and it's actually funny because I was going through the recording of the last meeting, and we were talking about how many businesses would sign up realistically, and Judith actually said, "Right out, you're gonna get 12," which is funny that that's what we landed on. So she
So when
must
I
know
say
what
it's
she's
not
talking
gonna
about.
rain,
Yeah, we believe you now.
So yeah, we have 12, which is well above the 8 that they were looking for to launch. And right now, the only quip that I have with Yifty is that our payment to them for the bonus wouldn't be there in time for the Oyster Festival. So our check from Wareham to California won't get there in time. But I've been talking almost daily over the past week with our account executive at Yifty, and he says that he's relatively confident that he can advance the funds into our account so that we would still have it in time to launch. And so just bringing it back to marketing materials, what I have designed right now, and I talked with Dan about this, is I was planning on getting 500 business cards printed for the Discover Wareham Dollars program. Right on there would say something like $25 for free, QR code right there, and we would have it at the booth. People can take it, read the front and back, just learn a little bit about it, and if they want, they can purchase it right there on the QR code. Also with that, I was planning on printing a 2x3, like A-frame, fold over tent, and that would be bigger with basically the same information, front and back. Front would be something to get people in there and interested, and on the back would be more details about the program.
you're talking about an A-frame in front of the tent,
An A-frame would be on the table.
on the table.
Oh, so
Yeah.
it's
You can't-
tabletop
It's like a paper
size.
A-frame.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
I just wanna
Yeah.
make
Not
sure you're
like
I was
not
picturing something
Three
sandwich
on
board.
on the ground.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I'm just
okay.
gonna go get it printed at
Yep.
Staples. It's gonna be a higher quality cardboard.
Little thing like this?
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
And if we can't launch for the Oyster Festival, I still have these marketing materials designed, and I could swap out the QR code for the Discover Wareham homepage instead of directing to Discover Wareham Dollars. So just to be clear, there is still a chance that we can't launch for the Oyster Festival.
Okay.
So this marketing A-frame, tabletop A-frame, could that be used by local businesses to tell their customers that they have this program? Like, when you walk in to say Krabby Coffee, they are participating,
Yeah.
but I don't see any visuals that tell me that.
Yeah, so right now we're still in a pre-launch phase, and Yifty has a lot of marketing materials that are basically pre-designed and just plug and play with the business's logo. So they have window clings, they have their own 11x17 posters, and once we're actually launched, I'm gonna go back through, pull the company's logos, put them on the marketing materials, and we can provide those to them.
Awesome.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Why don't they have the check?
Because
The process that they require for issuing checks,
Who's that?
It's just slow.
counting.
So you put something in 2 weeks ago for a warrant? It should have gone right on the warrant.
I didn't put it in 2 weeks ago though.
When did you put it in?
We actually were able to process it and get it over to accounting yesterday.
Didn't you want to get it?
Yeah. That's not enough time.
But it sounds like EFT, if we can show them some good faith, some proof that we have a check in the mail, so to speak, they're ready to launch perhaps on Saturday.
Yep, that's my understanding based on the conversations that I've had with our accounting executive.
Okay, because we do have a signed contract with them, so they should feel comfortable that we're gonna pay
Mhm.
what we said we would.
But
Okay.
let me understand just the process. So the WRA has the money that is going to YIFT.
Mhm.
Why did it take so long to come out of the WRA funds so that Connor could go to accounting with it?
Yeah, he didn't put it in time. I think if you send them a certified copy of the minutes, it's right there in the minutes that it's there. I mean, you could try it that way.
Yeah, I can, now that we have the copy of the minutes, I can also send that over.
Mhm.
Yeah, basically what our person at YIFT said is that he's relatively confident that we could advance it, so it's not 100%.
So who are you gonna put a certified copy of the minutes? Who are you gonna show that to?
I would show it to our account executive
At
where,
YIFT.
yeah,
Okay,
they could see that we had the meeting, they were also part of the meeting. That was the one where they called in, and
Tyson
then we
and-
deliberated after.
yeah,
Victoria,
okay.
Yep.
Veronica. Okay, well, Connor, I just want to say to the group, I saw the spreadsheet that Connor keeps, a tracking spreadsheet.
Mhm.
He's been burning a lot of shoe leather. He's gone to at least 30 or 40 businesses to yield that 12 participating businesses and merchants. He's had to individually help them sign on to show them the process. Basically, he's been providing training to these 12 merchants. And Connor, you've been all over town. I've heard about this guy Connor showing up at places, trying to sell Discover Wareham dollars. You're doing a great job. Really appreciate you breathing some life into this.
Absolutely.
I really do hope we can launch it at the
Mhm.
Oyster Festival. That'd be terrific.
Can we know the 12?
Yeah, I can read
12
them off too.
apostles?
So we have South Coast Sports and Consignment,
Mm.
Mermaids on Cape Cod, Wildflower Floral Design on Main Street, a Wareham florist, Ivy Wellness and Health, Looks Unlimited, Krabby Coffee and Bagels, M&D Outfitters, Onset Beach Patio and Grill. El Mariachi, I still need to talk with the owner. I've basically done everything except run the card with the owner there. Same for Warren's Harbor View. I just need to talk with Phil instead of Danny and get him to run the card.
Mhm.
Narrows Crossing is live and Lucky Goat Brewing is also live.
Great, that's
Oh,
awesome.
that's great. Okay, Connor, thank you. Nice work. Next item, presentation / discussion on artificial intelligence for municipalities. Since Judith, you held up the draft of the minutes from our last meeting, I think this was partially built or drafted by AI. Connor's been learning a little bit about AI. He attended a seminar of sorts put on by the Mass Municipal Association, was it?
Yeah.
At Sarah's recommendation. So Sarah, Connor,
Well, I'll
Josh,
start it
were you at
off,
that also?
and then we'll
I'm
go
just
to
half
those.
of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
you did, okay.
So, as a select board member, I get emails from the Mass Municipal Association, and they have webinars all the time about all kinds of stuff. And I saw one come in about artificial intelligence for municipalities, and it just made sense to me that there could be routine tasks that are done by staffers of a municipality that could be done by AI. And freeing up those staffers to do bigger, more important things than routine rote tasks. So I wasn't able to watch it, but I had passed on the information to Josh and Connor was able to sit in on it. Josh was able to sit in on some of it, and so share with us the results of what you learned on that.
Yeah, so I, going into the meeting, had a little bit of experience with AI and generative AI. Because that was really making a lot of headway when I was doing my master's program. So there was a lot of waves being made with regard to generative AI and plagiarism and everything. That was really when it made a quantum leap. But basically, what they started the meeting with was distinguishing generative AI, which is what you hear ChatGPT, Claude, these other programs, from artificial intelligence, period. So there's a pretty big difference. Artificial intelligence is my car digitally telling me the miles on the car, or any kind of digital function where a computer is making a conclusion. Generative AI kind of has the ability to make its own opinions based on the feedback that it's been given. So generative AI, it's different from artificial intelligence in the way that it can apply reasoning based on its training. And so what they also talked about in the meeting after that was chat-based AI versus AI agents. And again, chat-based AI is like generative AI with ChatGPT, and AI agents seem to be something that was new to me in that meeting, and it kind of sounded more like an automation. So an AI agent, the way that they framed it was it's this program that again is able to apply reasoning. So if I have an AI agent and I'm saying, pull my reports for this quarter, pull all my relevant reports for this quarter, I'm having my quarterly meeting with C-level executives. And so if I said that to my AI agent, then the agent would use the discretion to pull the reports that they thought were relevant based on the work that I've been doing. But if I said that to an automation, it would pull, an automation is basically a bunch of if-then statements. And an AI agent can actually apply that reasoning. And if you ask the same thing twice, you could also get different answers based on the same thought process. AI agents seem like something that they were trying to sell because there were actually people in the chat being like, if you need an AI agent built for your town, then reach out to me. So I think the person heading the program also runs one of these companies that builds out these AI agents for other companies. And so I just thought that that was interesting. And some applications and cautions for AI in municipalities. Some use cases that they had mentioned were drafting communications, like minutes, like we have here, emails, responses to emails, stuff like that, public inquiry support. So basically just outreach and again, drafting communications, data summarization and dashboarding. So putting in some kind of report and saying, what can you conclude from this, or what are some main points there? And then just some security and best practices with using AI is to not input private or sensitive data, like you would on the internet anyway. Another best practice is to redact the names and locations. So if I'm re-summarizing my meeting from the WRA, I might not say Dan Butler, I might say Van Dutler, or something a little more encrypted, just so that you're not really giving the AI one-to-one of what's actually going on. And to understand the terms of use for each AI tool, again, if you're really motivated, you can read these general terms and services like you should be doing.
So does it cost money? Is that what you're saying?
No, there's free versions. So there are tools out there and there are free versions of that. And the way that AI, generative AI tools gauge that is by using credits. So based on the inquiry that you ask to the AI, it determines based on the processing power, the amount of credits that you use. So if I ask it to generate the WRA all holding hands and jumping around in a circle, and when it generates the photo, it's going to use a lot more processing power than if I were to say, restructure this sentence to make it more grammatically correct. Like that's a pretty fast process. And so if you pay for that, then you have more credits or unlimited credits. And if you have the free version, then if I'm doing that for an hour or two, eventually it will stop me.
So tell us how you created the minutes.
So I went on YouTube and YouTube automatically, so I guess it's twofold AI, because YouTube creates the transcripts right there on the web page using AI. And then once I had the copy of that, I redacted relevant information and then put it into ChatGPT, said make some minutes for this, make a draft of minutes. I got it, sent it over to Dan. He played Mad Libs, filled it in, and we have our draft minutes.
So help me understand the redaction part. What did you redact?
So you should go through and say, so if I'm looking at this, names.
So
right?
why though? Why did you tell it to redact those? Because that's part of the record.
I don't tell it to redact.
Oh.
I'm taking out these because I don't want it to know the exact names of the members in the WRA. I don't want it to know that the WRA just allocated exactly $11,200 to this exact company.
I get it. Okay.
Kind of like that.
Although the minutes that you did generate did have names, did have the specifics that we would need in minutes for a public meeting like this. So I was surprised. It was a pretty remarkably accurate summary of the meeting. It did lack some of the details that we want to have in minutes, so it did
Yeah.
require some human intervention.
Mhm.
And if I could just interject there, that's another thing that they brought up in the AI municipalities meetings is not to blindly trust whatever it spits right back at you. You really have to go back through, because it's a servant. It's always trying to please you. It's not going to tell you, hey, no, you're wrong. It's going to be like, oh, actually, great point. It's just trying to make you happy. It's just trying to serve you. It's not going to tell you if you're wrong.
Yeah, that's interesting. Another instance that I'm familiar with of using AI, the news media company I worked for, Gannett, they're USA Today, and they have a whole network of news sites, so I'm always alert to see, what they're up to. And they started using AI to process press releases, but still supervised by an editorial assistant type of person who would normally be typing those up by hand. And so, because I know the person with the Standard Times that's doing this, so I was able to talk to her and gain an understanding of what exactly is she doing. So she gets a press release, she, copies and pastes it into some sort of AI interface, and it gives her a news story. She's responsible to look at it, make sure that the headline and the lead and all of the facts are there, and then she publishes it to the newspaper and onto the website. So I mean, Josh, as a department head, do you see any way that this could help your department at the moment with getting rid of any of its more routine tasks and making them quicker and easier in any way?
I would really have to look at the level of reflecting I have to do on what it produces.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If I'm doing the same amount of making sure it captured everything accurately versus me just doing it, then we're kind of in the safe boat.
Well, but the way I was thinking is that you have staff, Sonia.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that she's doing that this could facilitate it, make it easier?
I'm sure there are probably some applications.
Mhm.
We do pay someone to take the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But one question for Connor: why did you feel it was important to redact the members' names?
Just because it's a best practice. I guess now that I'm thinking more about it, at the end of the day, if it's public facing the records, then it's not so insanely important.
Right.
But I think that it's more just kind of not throwing the information and giving that layup. So if someone really wanted to find out all the members of the WRA and this and that, then they actually would go and look for the documents. But if I'm putting that into ChatGPT, then it's immediately into that knowledge base that it's pulling up.
Yeah, I got there pretty quickly. I asked ChatGPT 2 questions. I said, name the members of the WRA. And at first it gave me the organization.
Mhm.
2 members of the select board, town administrator, director of planning, 1 citizen. And then I simply asked, who are the members? And then Dan, Derek, Judy, Ken, Sarah, with their expiration terms.
Yeah.
So,
Well, just back to that, it's
Yeah.
also, if you look on
Yeah.
Google, it's doing the same thing that you're doing and spitting it back to you. So
yeah,
if you look WRA Wareham, what you're actually looking for is going to be one of the first 2 results on Google. ChatGPT is doing the same thing and putting it back to you in a prompt.
so yeah, I think there's a possibility for making processing tasks
Right,
maybe easier.
yeah,
And we're already kind of exploring that now with some of the permitting applications that we have.
well, that's very
So-
cool.
Okay, so you did a presentation. The discussion about whether it's appropriate for any department in this town is not appropriate because we are not in charge of those departments.
Right,
Derek is. So Derek would have to make that.
well, we're not making any decisions.
No, but you're asking him for his opinion, which I think is a little
Legit.
stretchy.
I don't.
If my question would be, what's the difference between this and Google?
I can answer that. So again, we can go back to the use cases, and I think that the most practical or approachable use cases are just drafting communication. So if I'm saying, here are the minutes from last week, I don't feel like reading 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. Summarize the minutes from last week. It's already a public record. I can throw that right into ChatGPT and have it give me 5 points. I don't feel like writing an email response to someone. I can copy that email, take out their name, respond to this email, or redact anything that I think might be sensitive, respond to this email in a professional manner, spit something back, I copy paste it, put it right back in. It's just like smaller workflow things that I can really speed up on day 1. I think if you want to have a really complex understanding of it, then it's not you planning out AI and creating this AI agent is never going to take precedence over the daily work that you actually have to do. So it's not worth the time.
Thank you.
So my next question was gonna be to Ken as a department head. Do you see this in any way being applicable, given your years of service as a town planner?
Well, one of the things that I used it for was to develop scopes, scopes of work. So, I mean, I could see it, but I had to do a lot of heavy editing to put
Yeah.
that out of that.
Mhm.
And that depended on what my question was to the, and I don't recall now which one I used, if it was ChatGPT or not, but I think it was. And it just required a lot of heavy editing after using it. But it gave me a form, anyway, a form and a basis for going forward.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, thank you.
If I just one final point,
Mhm.
just going off of what Ken said, I think with these generative AI programs, what you give is what you get. So if I give it a simple prompt and I just say, hey, I want the minutes from last week, it's going to give me a pretty simple answer. If I say, I want the minutes from last week and I only want to know topics about this item on the agenda, and only in a concise manner, 3-word bullet points, then you're actually going to get that. And also, I think I made this point to Ken before, that when you're talking with AI, it's also kind of like this classic genie kind of, you're making wishes with the genie, and I say, hey, I want a piano, and the genie makes a piano show up above my head and it falls on me kind of deal. So if you ask for something, you have to be very clear about what you want.
I want a piano in front of me
Yeah.
on the ground. And Judith, one of the other things that I thought this held promise for was boards and committees, the volunteers, and minute taking. Yeah, I know.
I disagree because
Yeah.
they're not doing their minutes correctly now. And
Right.
What I'm hearing is that you have to edit heavily, you have to pick and choose. Well, if they don't know what they're doing, then they can't be editing correctly or accurately.
Right,
So I think
but
that a template, which we have from the Attorney General, the template is very good. Simply You take your agenda and you write little notes. It's so simple, it's beyond simple, and I think that's the issue. But I would caution, and I would actually discourage anybody from using it until they know how to do it correctly in the first place.
Yes, but couple things. One, I still want that Attorney General's template from you. Like, there was a one-sheeter that I thought was really very, very good.
Yeah.
So I need that from you so that I can share it with my boards and committees.
I gave it to
You
I
gave me a
gave
hard
it-
you gave me a hard copy?
you. Yeah, I gave you a hard copy when we met with Laurie.
Okay, I'll look through my stuff. I was hoping for an electronic copy.
I can get you an electronic copy, but I gave you a hard copy.
Okay, thank you. And there's always a possibility down the road, if we continue to about this and talk about this for boards and committees, that we could have training on doing this. And I know that there's, roadblocks to that, but that's a possibility.
It's a possibility. The problem is that you, unless you're on a board and committee, there are always members in and out.
That's true.
And so
It's an
every
infinite
single
training.
time there's a new member, he or she would have to be, and I'm not gonna ever use the word they, because I was trained he or she. That individual would have to learn exactly the same thing. And unless you know the basics of what you're doing, you can't do it accurately. I just find it, I would really not be happy with the
Yeah.
use of that.
Okay, I
The
think we-
concept is good,
Mhm.
and I use Google all the time, I use Google to find out, what is the town of Milton doing for bylaws on ADUs? That's easy. I don't need Snapchat, whatever these other things are called. I don't even care, because Google's giving me the information. Once I have a starting point, I can go.
Yeah.
Good.
I don't wanna,
Second final point.
last final point.
Yeah, just to that point, if there is a simple process, I think that in your volunteer and professional work might not want to be the first application or use case that you have with generative AI. Try to have it give you a recipe or something and then try that again. But I think that trying to have ChatGPT write minutes or do some of these really remedial tasks that are already pretty remedial is kind of like using a jackhammer to drive on a nail. It's just better to do it. Kind of the point that Josh made too.
Okay. Oh, wait, thanks for the discussion. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Connor and Josh. Let's see, why don't we jump down to this item, discussion and possible vote on possible 2025-2026 projects that will require intern time and effort. For example, business by business inventory of Main Street, pop-up organization, management support, Discover Wareham content management, etc. Judith, you asked that we address something like this at the meeting today, and I think it's a good time to do it. Let me ask Connor if you could kick it off for us, Connor. You're going to be managing an army of interns that you're going to be recruiting for this summer. I guess you have an army of one right now, is that correct?
Yeah, we have a one-man band right now, one-woman band.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the projects and entertain some discussion from the members
Yeah.
about how you might be using Ms. McWilliams?
Yeah, for sure. So I think that I circulated these documents at our last meeting, the stakeholder overview for the internship program. So there I had listed 5 different projects that they could work on. Some of them are listed here on the agenda too. But the first would be to manage content for the Discover Wareham website, which seems broad at first, but I think what we would want to have them do is focus on analytics and tracking, which is something that I've brought to the WRA a few times, just reporting on what's going on, looking at the back end. I think that there's a lot of upside in someone so young learning that too, early in their professional career. Updating vacant property listings is something that we could also look at doing. So now that we're actually applying for the vacant storefront program, we can digitize the information from the program, make it available on a web page, and that way everyone would have access to that on the internet. And the second one is to grow the Discover Wareham Facebook page, which would again be a lot of scheduling content and posts, copywriting, outreach, things like that. Potential ad campaigns. I know that's also something that I'd floated in these meetings a few times. Also, support on the vacant storefront program. So once we apply and maybe in the next few months we find out that we were approved for the use of tax credits, that an outreach phase would actually happen where the intern could reach out to potential business owners or property owners and business owners and try to fill some of those vacant storefronts. Number 4 would be the planning of community events and use of community spaces. In our previous meeting, we talked about the train depot and the fact that that could be open to the community to hold some one-off events. So I think that maybe I could show the intern how to create a web page for that, sign-up sheet, and then we could have that forward or shoot off to the director of planning who reviews it, or maybe to the select board or any relevant stakeholder that would be overseeing that area. And yeah, other community events. I know that the DECA kids are well versed in hosting events and marketing for them, so I think that that could be a really great use of their time or her time or his time. And then the last project that I had suggested was a small business feature series. So this would also be hosted on the website and potentially circulated with Wareham Media or Wareham Week, where it would be kind of like a longer story on a small business in town, their history, what they're trying to do in town, their actions in the community. Just kind of like a longer, more concerted story. And all of these would be tracked with measurable outcomes. So a lot of these, for example, I guess some of the more static ones or some of the more plain ones would be to manage the content for the Discover Wareham website. And so if we're looking at the analytics, then we actually have the outcomes would be 15% growth in traffic, 20% growth in traffic, this, that, and at the end of the program, I would like the WRA to write a letter of support for the intern, obviously if they do a good job. And yeah, I think that's generally it, unless anyone has questions.
I think this is great.
Let's open the floor to discussion. Anybody have a question for Connor?
Well, I had a couple of questions. One, we were not in total agreement that we would have high school students apply. So that is reflected in the minutes incorrectly, in my opinion. There were a couple of us who.
Actually, we did agree to that.
No, but there was disagreement about it.
No,
Okay?
well, but eventually,
Members concurred, so there was a majority of the members who concurred.
but eventually we did entertain a motion and voted unanimously to support expansion.
That's my
and
memory as
extension.
well.
Yeah, you can go back to the video. I just looked at it yesterday, as a matter of fact,
Alright. So I continue to have concerns about high school students. I understand the wanting to encourage them to be involved, etc. But a lot of what you have just outlined is the one that you just said, the analytics.
Yeah.
That's an easy one to track.
Yeah, so I think that the projects that I suggested, I wouldn't have them focus on one project for the entirety of the program, which would be 10 weeks. I think that I can introduce them to a lot of stuff with regard to the website. So maybe we can wrap a few projects into one, so you can do analytics for the website, content for the website, and maybe management of the Facebook page. And that's all kind of in the same vein as marketing.
Okay.
If you want to focus on project management, then again, I would introduce the vacant storefronts program to them, the document that I shared with you all, and sit down with them and say, hey, how can we expand that? Sit down with Ken, the one who's actually filing the application. Sit down and say, how can we expand this and kind of bring this to the next stages of the project? So I think that these 5 projects aren't weighted equally,
Are not.
are not weighted
Yeah.
equally.
And then the second question I have is sort of a broader question. How did the Wareham Business Association, the newly formed one, get a list of all of the businesses in towns to knock on doors without having already done this? Getting the business by business inventory.
I don't think they did.
How did,
They didn't do it, Connor did,
Connor did all that
For
on
what?
our dime?
yes.
because it
Sorry,
was,
what? I'm missing what it was that was happening.
Yeah, all those businesses that you went and visited and you
Yeah.
with
explained
the
how to,
Discover Wareham
how to do
dollars,
Discover
Yeah.
Wareham dollars.
because that's a WRA initiative.
Okay, so that, but how did the business associate, the one that you created, how did they get the database for all of the people that you reached out to?
They don't have a database.
They wouldn't. What I just read to you is my backend on Yifty, and it shows me who's live and who still needs to run their activation card. And I shared with Dan a list of the businesses. I just have an Excel sheet.
Okay, so let me
Where-
try it again.
Yeah.
So the people who went to these organizational meetings, where did that list come from?
Oh, they have a Facebook page with,
No, before the Facebook page.
well, the Facebook page was created at the very first meeting.
Okay,
And at that very first meeting, emails and names were collected,
from the people who attended.
attended.
Mhm.
Okay,
Right.
so there
And then
was
it's grown out from there using the Facebook page.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Yeah, I'd point out too that that project that Connor embarked on, I mean, this last week or so, he literally has been burning up shoe leather, going to all these different businesses, talking to the
Well,
business
obviously
owners.
yes, yeah, because,
And that would have been half as difficult if you had an intern to help go, you hit those businesses on that side of the street, I'll hit these businesses. And that's obviously a pretty easy thing to oversee, supervise. And,
yeah. It just, when I first brought this up several weeks ago, and then I actually slowed down and looked at how many businesses were on Main Street. In one building that I thought there were 2, there were actually 3. So I drive by them every day. So I'm not seeing, and I go through it every day.
Yeah.
I know the businesses change, but one of the things that I really think that we need to understand is how many businesses are there? How many empty storefronts are there? You've done that homework by coming up with who would be eligible for the storefront. And the 3 businesses that I'm thinking about, they don't own that building. I know they don't own that building because I've done the homework on that for somebody else.
Mhm.
So you're going business to business, but you also have to go back one step and go to the owner of the real estate who is invested in even maybe more so than the 3 businesses that occupy his building. So it's a deeper dive, I think, I'm not saying an intern couldn't do it, but I think that's what I'm really looking for. I'm not looking for window dressing, I'm looking for who's there. Then I think the next step that we have to take is, because we had this discussion years ago, what kind of businesses are on Main Street? How many hairdressers? How many tattoo offices? How many
restaurants.
restaurants? How many
Law
weed
firms.
shops? How many what?
Law firms.
How many law firms? And how many
Bill Bondsman.
Don't we have that?
No.
pawn shops? I
No,
mean,
no, that's not what I
So
mean.
there's a real dichotomy of what there is there
Mm.
and what do you want to see there.
I feel like we've already talked a lot about that. And that's part of the background that's informing what we're actually doing now.
Right, but what I'm saying is we can't really understand until we have that list. That's why I want that list.
Isn't that in the
Assessors.
No, I thought we had the list in the WRA documents
Mhm.
on the website, the strategic plan or the urban renewal plan. I thought we had landlords.
That would have, I guess just if my memory serves me correct, that kind of has a general demographic breakdown of like this is the type of businesses in town. So like there's a certain percentage that's retail, there's a certain percentage that's services and stuff like that. I think if I'm understanding what Judith is saying correctly, is that she kind of wants to build out beyond this. So we have the vacant storefront programs. We've identified 6 storefronts that have been empty for 6 more months. So now we need to go beyond that, figure out who's owning those properties, which I think that we've been slacking on a little bit, but then even go beyond that and say, okay, which storefronts are vacant, period, and have been vacant for a little bit. So like one that I'm thinking of is Scarlet Rose. That's kind of a prime real estate spot.
Take that off the table, there's an
Okay.
application
Yeah.
for liquor license on that one.
Fair, but to the same point, we can look at other storefronts that have been vacant for less than 6 months, or some that aren't right on Main Street, and kind of create a more specific, more robust kind of business demographic in town, some actual analytics and information that we can take action on.
So again, and I don't know all of the ins and outs, and Ken probably knows more. But a lot of the buildings that were turned over or bought in the past several years were bought by people who don't live in this town. And they are investments only. So if they can ratchet up the rent, that's what they're doing. And if you are a business that's just starting out, ratcheting rent is not helpful to you in order to generate business. So when you want to generate business, you have to make why you are generating business attractive. And that's where I think we haven't gone yet. I don't know how to say it any differently.
Right, so it sounds like you and Connor are saying the same thing. You want a more robust database.
I want an accurate database.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, and I think that's what you said too.
Accurate, up to date.
And I want it I want
Yeah.
it down to the bottom.
The owner of the building.
Not just the,
Occupants, you want the owners.
yeah.
And
That
phone
makes
numbers and email
Yeah.
addresses and that kind of thing.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because if one of those law firms is gone. So it's
Relocated.
okay, but it's not on Main
Right.
Street. So there's a constant moving like this. The person who bought the Eastern Bank building, not to highlight that, but he has gone through some iterations in his thought process about what could work, what would work. And that building was originally $400 and some odd thousand. It's now $1 million. Come on, guys. That's ratchet. Okay, and that's part of what's holding us back.
Right, so a database that includes all that, including the shifting and the ins and the outs,
Yeah.
Price history. on
is
the
something that can be
building, so-
done by Connor and his intern.
Yeah, and I guess the stakeholder overview that I circulated last time with the projects actually on it, that's still a draft. We don't have an intern. I'm looking for feedback from you guys, and I would love to flesh out these projects more for what you guys think would be more relevant.
I thought we
Okay.
did have an intern.
We,
They've been
we've
hired
selected an
and
intern.
committed, but she's starting on July 3rd.
And Ken, I've got a question for you. With your economic development background, what we're talking about, it sounds like, is economic development. Having that basic intelligence. Judith used a military example when she brought it up with me. So it sounds like what we're asking for is someone that can compile in one place the relevant information, like you just cited, property owner, businesses in that property, phone numbers for everybody, so that if we did want to take action as a redevelopment authority, we would know how to move out quickly and communicate with those people or market to them, promote, et cetera.
There are services that handle that level of information as well too. It can be relatively inexpensive to very costly.
We have an intern.
Right,
We have an intern.
Just so if we're talking about reporting, I heard that the town might be upgrading their Office 365. And if that does happen, then you guys might have access to Power Automate, which is an automated reporting tool. And I think that's something that I personally have experience with. and that I think could also be really relevant for this project and also useful for an intern to learn.
Yeah, and it does sound like a lot of this data is out there, but
Yeah,
like Connor was
just
talking
getting it
about
in one
earlier.
spot.
Yeah,
I mean, Connor talked earlier about how you can ask AI, find all this data, here's what I'm looking for every property on Main Street. Let AI take a whack at it, let it, like one of Connor's interns,
I would prefer
improve
the
on it.
intern. I would prefer the intern, again,
Do
unless
the
you know
hands-on.
how you are doing, what you are doing, and why you are doing. It's like when I was teaching English, do not ever use Wikipedia. You put it on your bibliography and you will automatically fail this course. You can use it up here as a starting point. You may not use it. It's not accurate.
Right.
So there's a difference between, real facts and funny facts. And I would urge the intern be, exposed to going through the assessor's cards, going through, dig.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have all this data, presumably
Yeah, we
the
do.
assessor has
Yeah.
a lot of it. Any other discussion on potential fruitful utilization of our interns, the army of interns that are gonna be showing up any day now on Connor's doorstep?
Good.
No? Okay, Connor, thank you.
Yeah, good work, Connor.
Appreciate your work on that, and we look forward to meeting your new intern when she's available. Let's see, we won't be doing the executive session today. We don't have anything to update on that from Mr. Titlebaum, so we'll defer that to our next meeting. We go back to discussion of possible vote on whether to petition the town at fall town meeting to transfer underperforming or neglected town properties to the WRA for redevelopment.
I think that has to be held off until Derek is here.
Yeah.
He's in charge of all town properties.
I agree.
Okay, we can defer that. So we have Derek here.
And I would also ask the priorities and focus moving forward would be held off for him.
I
I
agree. Yeah, I will say on the issue of getting properties the redevelopment authority can actually redevelop or help in developing. Josh and I think had a pretty good discussion. I was trying to learn what we know about our properties in town. We actually own quite a bit of property. I was surprised when I saw the printout. We talked too about how we, the redevelopment authority, could potentially partner with other organizations as we have in the past. We have the Affordable Housing Initiative that is now looking really nice over in Littleton Drive. We have the Affordable Housing Authority here in Wareham that I have not really done any work with. I know several of you have, but we haven't actually tried to partner with affordable housing to see if there might be things we and affordable housing could accomplish that would benefit the town. And I thought that was a terrific discussion, Josh, so thank you for your suggestions. It was very thought-provoking, the ideas that you were tossing out when we met. And then discussion and possible vote on regular WRA meeting times. Ms. Corbett, you asked that we put this on the agenda.
Well-
Would you like to dive into it?
No, because I think we need Derek here.
Okay.
He's key among all of us we're all key, but in order to talk about whether or not we want to keep meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning, I think we need Derek here to add his input.
Okay. I will throw one thing out. The last couple of summers, we've basically gone to one meeting a month during the summer months. People go on vacations, things slow down. Does anybody have an opinion on whether we should strive for 2 a month through June, July, and August, or maybe fall back to 1 a month?
Because the biggest thing we have that I know of is the Oktoberfest. And if you leave it to Lorna, you don't need to do anything. But if you're going to be encouraging the Wareham Business Association or helping them plan events, move forward, those are long-term projects and they take a lot of back work before you can bring them forward here. So I would just suggest the 1 a month.
So I have a question about that, because given my service on other boards and committees, yes, I mean, when we have decided to meet on a regular basis during the summer, we've always regretted it because people can't make it. But also, it feels like we also have other initiatives underway that, well, I guess once a month we could easily get updated. Ken and Josh, like, if we don't meet more than once a month, does that put an obstacle in front of anything we're trying to accomplish with the planning office?
It could.
Mm,
It
Like the
depends on
waterfront?
how the projects are going along.
yeah,
But you could also call an off cycle.
yep, we
Yeah,
could.
I think that's, as long as you're willing to do off-cycle meetings.
And we've given Ken quite a bit of authority already that we've approved. You can spend up to $5,000 on things you know that the WRA is supporting or is
Right.
behind. So that might make it a little bit easier to go to one meeting a month. You just have to do things on your own authority, or Josh, you'll have to do things without really consulting us.
And
Not in a
just keep
meeting.
us informed, I guess, too, other than, beyond calling a meeting, but just tell the group what's going on, knowing that we can't discuss things on email, but we can be informed on things by email, right?
You can be informed and make sure you write for information only, do not respond.
Okay, then I'm good with meeting. When would this newer schedule start?
Well, next month, we would be ordinarily meeting 12 June and 26 June. 26 June is the Hudson field trip. If we go to one meeting in June, we'd skip the 12 June meeting. Anybody have an issue with that? We could come back here after the Oyster Festival and congratulate ourselves on how great it was, but
Well, the town meeting,
we
the
can do
hall,
that at the Oyster Festival.
town hall isn't gonna be open on a Saturday, but,
So we would
yeah.
start it as soon as next month, if we go to one a month. And the first meeting in June would be then 26 June,
Which is the field trip.
a field trip.
yeah, all right, if everybody's good with that, I'm okay with it.
Okay, so we would go to 26 June, 24 July, and 21 August, if that works for everybody.
Again,
Yeah, 26
20
June, 24 July.
24 July and 21 August.
Thank you.
Okay, so I don't think we need to take a vote on that, but just plan on those being the 3 regular meetings for the summer. And if we need to, Ken will let us know, or Josh will let us know, we'll do an off-cycle meeting.
Okay.
Okay,
21.
and obviously, I mean, I feel free to pop in all the time. I pop in on Ken, and I'll be popping in on Josh to find out how things are going. And I know, Sarah, you and Judy, you're in the building quite a bit. I think we'll be able to stay abreast of what's going on, so I think this will work out okay. Let's jump down to report from the Director of Planning, Ken.
Or Josh?
I mean, Josh, who's taking it? Don't
That's
drop the
fine.
baton.
Couple of things. WS Development, the company that owns Wareham Crossing, is planning on doing an upgrade, more significant improvements to the center. Make it a little more friendly, walkable kind of development, and doing better signage so that businesses on there get to know what's going on.
Very good.
There'd be some other cosmetic improvements as well too around the property.
Because some of that's, oh,
Drainage.
sorry.
issue.
Oh,
addressed.
drainage?
Yeah, we have drainage issue addressed at a time as well too, because I'd like to
Okay.
go back for a modification of the special permit.
Yeah, because there's that drowning pond every time there's a rainstorm.
Yeah,
And that's their property that's
Right,
causing
right,
it, it's
it is.
not the town.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just make sure that it's on.
And I was just gonna comment that their landscaping has definitely seen better days.
yeah.
It looks
they're planning
terrible.
On upgrading the landscaping.
That's good.
In that property.
So kind of more like, there was one in Hingham.
Oh, Derby,
Derby
the
Park.
shops at Derby,
Like,
one can
more
only
like
hope.
that, because that's a really,
Beautiful,
yeah.
absolutely beautiful.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, anything else, Ken?
Excuse me, I did have one more question. Are they getting those empty storefronts filled in this whole process? Any news on that? Because they have
That's
quite,
part of what they're doing, why they're doing the upgrade.
That's why they're
is
doing
so
it,
they're Trying to attract better clients, or new clients.
Cool. okay,
In the storefronts.
thanks.
Okay, what else, Ken?
Tremont Nail Factory, some activity around that, and there've been two people coming in asking about the steel building and the use of, because it's a large open space that is unusual for the area. And there's one master developer who is attracted to the site as well too. But what I'm thinking is that this may be a time when we want to put out an RFP for the steel building, at least anyway, as a use, find some users or use for that building.
Didn't we put out an RFP?
We have put out an RFP previously, yes.
But in the recent past, I thought.
No,
There was one, I swear, I'm not hallucinating. There was an RFP I saw. It was right around when the film crew was looking down there. Oh, no, I know what it was. The state put out an RFP. Is that what I'm thinking of? And we responded? No?
we responded to a state RFP as for
In-
proposals, but
In the recent past, that's fairly recent
So
past.
I think we have one question that needs to be answered because we previously had an agreement with a master developer. Does our on-staff attorney need to address that? Does that need to be terminated? Or is that one of those things that can have termination?
They failed to come through on their end of the
I
bargain.
understand that, but I wanna make sure that if we put
yeah, I
something
think
out,
we
that we
need to
have
clean it up.
cut the
Yeah.
cord completely.
Right.
Yeah, clean it up.
Yeah, clean it up first.
Good idea.
Okay. Ken, that would be a good thing to run by Peter. And is there any reason to hold off on an RFP though? I don't see why we would hold off for the steel building.
Only that we advertise it broadly and so that we get as many applications as possible.
Right, but, and I don't have a problem with that, I just wanna make sure that there's no strangling.
So I think
Because
we,
there's a huge opportunity there in terms of the kayak and launching, you know. And I know there are issues with the dam, when, and it will come down, but when is the question, and I understand that that will impact, but I would go forward.
yeah, that is an attractive piece of real estate, that steel building. It's all nicely renovated. It could be generating a lot of revenue for the town, and offset the costs to the town,
We are using it for storage right now.
right? For things that
We are
we're,
using it, the town is using it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in there, I've seen that, but that stuff was stored somewhere else before. If you're looking for the WRA's opinion, Ken, I'm sure we'd support an RFP, and that's between you and Derek, whether to launch on that. But we probably should ask Peter Teitelbaum to look at our master developer agreement with Bentley and see if it's time to cut that cord. So would you
But
mind?
If we need some documentation, we cut it off, anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
do
just a
that.
letter saying thanks for playing, but you didn't
Didn't come through.
follow through on your end of the bargain.
Right.
Is it the select board?
The select board is the one.
What's
that
the
makes
select
it.
board in charge of this property?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The WRA has been taking charge of.
Right, you've been
Process.
processing, yeah, but it would have to come and be approved by the select board.
Well, in that case, you could use town council instead of Peter.
No, I would use Peter, because he's familiar with the property, he's been
He is. and-
Very active in
very
promoting
active
it.
with trying to
And Ken-
reuse that property.
And
for
Ken's
years.
authorized to,
Yeah.
retain him as necessary, so
Well, yeah,
why don't we do that, Ken? Let's see if we can move the ball on TNF. It's not our property, it's the select board's property and Derek's property, but if we can help in some way, and if an RFP opens the door that says steel building's open for business, let's hear your proposals. I think we'd be smart to do that sooner rather than later.
I agree.
One question, does issuing an RFP for, excuse me, just the steel building handcuff us from an RFP for the whole site?
No, it doesn't. It'd just be a user of the site. It'd be what's allowed is a 5-year lease and, under town law, bylaws.
So stating it's for the steel building is really for the entirety of the site.
RP would be for the
Still
steel
building.
Okay, so would giving someone the ability to work out of the steel building handcuff us from getting someone in to redevelop the entire
No.
site?
As a master developer.
Right.
That's why the master developer issue cleaned up.
Yeah, we
Right.
already had that cannabis company signed up when we signed up the other master developer, Bentley.
Yeah.
It didn't impede them.
Okay.
But that's a good question.
Yeah,
I just,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Ken, thanks. Anything else?
Just on the dam, I guess, maybe you're interested in that as well too.
Yeah.
The current design effort is gonna end as of June 30. They're gonna have a public meeting in June to go over what they've did, what in their 30% design, what they have in place, and what's necessary for state action as well too, on the scour protection of the other bridges that are affected by it. Protection is one of them. I've applied for a major grant of $1 million for the design of the site. Yeah, which would cover the 100% design of the removal of the dam and the reconstruction of the bridge over the.
so I have a question, just so that I understand. So the first part that you were talking about, that the current design effort ends in June, that's for the scour?
No, that's for 30% design on the which includes the scour.
Full removal.
30% design of the whole end project?
Right. of the
30%?
removal of the dam,
Why was it only 30%?
because that's all the money we had available.
Ah, got it, okay, thank you.
That was done under a $250,000 grant from the state.
And so the $1 million grant you're applying for or have applied for will be for the design of the entire project?
Right.
Okay.
And a final design, so it could
Okay.
be bid out. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
You
Thank
mentioned a bridge too. Would that allow us to reopen that road and let people come and go?
For walking.
Oh, just for walking, okay. Bridge.
but the legal issues surrounding the ownership of the dam have still yet to be resolved, is that
That's
accurate?
correct. It's still a question of the ownership percentage
Mhm.
between any Makepeace and the town.
And how can that be resolved?
That's in process. That's all I can say.
Town council is working it, okay. Ken, that's a good update. You said the end of June is that public meeting. Do you happen to know the date offhand?
No, I don't have it offhand.
Oh, okay.
And that's Fuss and O'Neill that'll be doing the presentation,
That's right.
okay. And anything else?
Can I just ask that when you get that information, that you give it to Connor as well as Matt Underhill, so that it gets on the WRA site as well as the town site.
Good idea.
That's a great
The
point.
things that are in the doorway, which is how we've done it before, are not
Okay.
effective.
Okay.
They don't cut it, yeah.
Good point. Yeah, good use of Discover Wareham's website. Ken, anything more?
No, that's good for now.
Josh, do you have anything to add from a director of planning perspective?
No.
No, okay. Member comments, new initiatives. Josh, do you have any comments or new initiatives you want to bring up right now?
No.
Ken, any comments, new initiatives?
No.
Ms. Whiteside, any comments or new initiatives?
Comment only, the vendors at the Sip and Stroll would take cash, credit cards, and Venmo. Venmo.
Oh, Venmo.
Because that was a posting on Facebook this morning. I forwarded it was a question by somebody, I forwarded that to Lorna, and she has posted on her website as well as responded to the individual, so that, you know, I'm not sure she had advertised that enough, but that is how you can, when you eat your 12 dozen points.
What about the cookies? I'm eating the cookies.
All right, Ms. Whiteside, that it?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, no, one more thing. It's sort of off, but on Monday, there is a continuum of ceremonies, starting at Dudley Brown Square and onset at 8:30 or
8:30.
8:30. Then going to Center Cemetery, Agawam Cemetery, St. Patrick's Cemetery, the Town Green, which is in front of WCTV, and ending at the memorial right here in Town Hall, and they're half-hour intervals. There will be a bugler there, and members of the VFW and members of the JROTC.
And I would encourage anybody to go. I know 8:30 is super early, but it's a very moving day.
Mhm.
I did it last year, I'm gonna do it this year.
Yeah, they have a series of ceremonies out at Otis at the National Cemetery also that are nice, very nice ceremonies.
My grandkids come back.
Did they put the flags
Put the
down?
flags in.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive when all the
Girl
flags
Scouts
are
are
up
so
there.
great.
Judith, thank you. Thank you for all you do on the issue of veterans and
Mhm.
remembering their contributions, Judith.
Mhm.
Sarah, comments?
Another comment off of Judith's comments about the Oyster Fest. From our last Wareham Business Association meeting, there still is a certain amount of disgruntlement among local businesses about theoretically not being included in Oyster Fest. And I just put it out there, if Ms. Brunel is going to participate in the Oktoberfest we hope to have, if there's a way to include even more local vendors. I know she has her own business and her own people that she takes very good care of, but if we could open up the door even wider in October to more local businesses, I think that would be very much appreciated.
I think that she's more than willing to do that. Remember,
Oh, yeah,
this is called bailing the town out.
Yep.
And she was able to pull this together.
and we made that
essentially
point, yes.
3 months. And I know that, again, that our first responders all said. Sorry.
That was quite stirring.
Sorry.
That she would be more than willing to entertain that, and again, her organizational skills make everybody, you know, look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll run that by her, but not until.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, actually, Saturday would be a great opportunity for her and Kendall to get together and maybe some of the other members of the Wareham Business
Yeah.
Association.
No.
She's gonna be up to her eyeballs.
She's up to her eyeballs.
She will
Remember,
be, but at least she can make their acquaintance as they come by and say hi.
But
and-
she's not gonna be making that effort, and honestly, the woman has just finished her 12th treatment of cancer, her second round with cancer. The fact that she has been able to keep this as concise and well done as she has, I don't know how she's done it. I don't know anybody else who's a cancer survivor who could possibly have done what she's done. So I would encourage people to have fun at the fest.
Right.
And talk to her.
Okay, Sarah, was there anything else?
Nope, that's it.
I only had one comment or a thought on potentially on a new initiative, sign design. I couldn't help noticing the GAF Engineering renovated their sign. It looks beautiful. It's wooden. It has gold lettering. It's very classy. It's kind of the type of sign that we would hope every business on Main Street would aspire to,
Or in town.
or in town.
Right. Yep.
And I know designs or sign design guidelines are, an issue. We've tried before, I think, Ken, to encourage storefronts to spruce up. We've offered grants. I wonder if now we're getting enough momentum with the work that Connor's been doing. We have a Wareham Business Association that seems energized,
Mhm.
that could help promote it. I wonder if we could maybe relaunch an effort to subsidize, underwrite some kind of a sign enhancement, sign improvement initiative along Main Street. We can maybe get rid of some of the gaudy neon signs and put up a nicer version.
Remember that the signs are covered under ours
Sign
zoning
bylaw.
sign bylaw. We have a very specific sign bylaw. So you'd have to look at that before moving forward.
Right.
What is the, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, go ahead.
What is the process for putting up a sign? Like who
So the
approves it?
building Department
Building
get
department.
a permit
I see.
based, and the costs based on the square footage, and there's things that are allowed and things that are not allowed. And a lot of the things that are not allowed, you see on Main Street right now. I call them banana flags,
Mm,
those wavy things.
yeah.
You're allowed those for 30 days after you open your business, and then they come down, period, end of discussion. And that's not something that we've spent a lot of money
Enforcing, yeah.
because
Yeah.
oh, you're taking on small business. I mean,
But what about if you already have a sign and you change it completely, but you stay within the same footprint?
you have to have a sign permit.
Which makes sense. What I was advocating potentially is signs can be expensive if you do a nice one.
Mhm.
You can do a cheap, nasty looking gaudy sign, but if we have new businesses filling out the vacant storefronts, we might want to encourage them with, you know, we'll defray 50% of your sign cost if you comply with these guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
Go look at the GAF engineering sign. That's the kind of sign we expect, or the ones the lawyers put out. They're nice, they're classy, they're charming. So we could probably, and under the urban renewal plan, we
Mhm.
certainly have an interest in trying to do that. So I just throw it out there to think about, because I haven't done any homework on sign design guidelines, but I know that's an area where we could probably improve downtown.
So I think that would be a really good thing to have at the top of our minds when we go to Hudson.
Hmm.
And talk to them about, you know, how'd you guys come up with such nice signage? Assuming they have nice signage, but.
The other thing that I would encourage us to do is when Joe Smith buys the building, that he has to take down all of the signs of the dead businesses. That's not happening.
Mhm.
And that's a
That's
lot of
true.
what we
Yeah.
see is
Mhm.
signs for they don't exist.
So, you know, good to put it on a future agenda.
Yeah.
For,
The one after the visit to Hudson.
Yeah.
maybe?
Yeah,
yeah,
the July meeting?
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. Good idea, Sarah. That's all I had. Correspondence, Ken, anything we need to know about?
No.
Okay.
Josh, anything we need to know?
Nope.
Okay, approval of prior meeting minutes. Everybody should have April 10th. This is the one that was generated.
I just
As an
would
experiment by
remind you that
AI.
all names should be full names, not just first names. So I would ask that you make those corrections going back to those sets of minutes that we haven't yet okayed, but I'll move that we okay them with the scrivener's errors.
Okay,
Second that,
so you mean like Emma, add
No.
Emma's last name?
no, I don't.
He knows. But there are a whole bunch of others throughout all of our minutes that are sprinkled through.
Right. You want first and last names?
Yep.
Is that required?
It is required, well, the full identifier is required. If you write Valentina, I don't know who Valentina is, or if you write
Oh,
Joe,
yeah.
that could be 4 million people. If you write,
Valentina
and in
Tyson.
terms of, politically correct, it should be Sarah Corbett or Corbett. So that the identifier is a clear identifier. You should always use the whole thing. You can never just use first names, ever.
And if I could add in what I'm
Never
learning.
use first names?
Hmm?
Never use first names?
Not
Not
just first names. So if I
Oh, I
wrote
see.
Sarah,
Gotcha.
that's not, that doesn't pass the law.
And so what I'm learning as I continue to work with my boards and committees that I'm in liaison for or member of on understanding minutes, you're writing for posterity.
That's right.
You're writing so that someone comes on the WRA in 10 years and they look back through our meeting minutes, they understand what happened and who participated in that happening. And if you only use first names, they're not gonna know who that is. It's just, that to me has been something that seemed to have helped my boards and committees understand, because they thought they were writing the minutes for each other. and you're not. You're writing it for history.
It's a business, meeting. All of them are business meetings.
Okay, so
And
So one-
documents used.
Yeah, that's on
The
there.
list Documents used, which is.
Yeah, which, well, he's done it now and he
Yeah.
went back and fixed it.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
I was online, so.
Yeah, no, he has not done it in the past.
but
Well,
he did in these that were okay.
when I was doing them, they were always
Okay.
listed. When I stopped doing them, they were not listed, but they're now listed.
It's a learning curve.
and actually, as Connor mentioned, minutes are a great task for an intern. Sit through a meeting, take good minutes,
Yeah,
learn how to take minutes.
With
disagree.
oversight.
Learn
Yeah,
from an
I
expert.
disagree.
All right, with that
So do we-
proviso that we
Yeah, but
get the last names for Emma, Victoria, is it Victoria, Valentina and Tyson.
but you've also done them the other minutes that we haven't, okay?
Right.
Because you have 3 sets here to look.
Right,
Presents.
we're only going to look at and approve April 10th today.
No.
Any other comments on
And
April
March
10th?
20?
April
And March
May.
20?
Let's do April 10th. Any questions
no.
more about April 10th?
No,
All in favor of approving the minutes for our meeting on April 10th, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Okay, they pass unanimously. Connor, I'll let you, if you don't mind, take care of those scrivener errors, get the last names, Emma's last name and
Yeah.
Valentina and Tyson's last name.
Yep.
And then we can
And-
send that in.
but also we had March 20, right?
March 20th. And you had some additional things.
Is everybody happy with the minutes now?
Well, I don't think we've seen it.
No? Okay.
Wait.
then we'll defer those.
Oh, okay, because I did.
May 8th, I have not generated any, but
Okay.
AI Connor and I will generate some. So we're done with minutes. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Nay.
Second,
All in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.